Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'll be reviewing the Merrell Trail Glove 7. So 3 pros that I have with the Trail Glove 7 is number 1, if you're on the market for a more minimalist shoe for light to moderate hikes and even some kind of sketchy hikes, these shoes do a really good job. So this model has performed exceptionally well on hikes with a lot of rocks, trail runs with rocks, and then also on hikes with looser terrain and like some gravel and broken up sticks. So no matter the surface, the shoe did a pretty good job with grip, and I've enjoyed their overall comfort and their level of articulation. And that takes me into my second pro. So with this model, you have a stack height of 14 millimeters, and there's a built-in EVA foam midsole. So with this shoe, it's not going to be your most uber minimalist or barefoot shoe, so you do get a little bit of cushion, and I see that as a really good thing for folks who might be acclimating to minimalist shoes, or for anybody who wants a minimalist shoe for longer hikes that does offer a little bit more comfort. So over the last week alone, I logged 30 miles in these shoes on different hikes and different trail runs, and honestly, across the board, my feet felt pretty dang good the whole time. If I wear super barefoot shoes for that much volume in a singular week while also training and working out and whatnot, my feet will typically feel pretty beat up, but honestly, they haven't felt too bad in this model so far. So I really like that, and I think if you're new to minimalist shoes, or if you do want a minimalist feeling shoe with a little bit more cushion and padding, this could be a really good option to explore. My third pro with this model is that it is a good shoe, I think, for folks with narrow to medium to slightly wider feet. So this model has a medium width. So if you have exceptionally wide feet or flat feet, I would say actually steer clear of this model, and I'll talk about that in my cons because you do have a little bit of arch here. But for folks who do have like narrower, medium, and slightly wider feet, I see this as being a really good option because whether I was rocking these sockless or with socks, they feel really good on the foot, and they have kind of like an athletic fit with this arch here, so they fit my foot anatomy really well. And honestly, sometimes I don't love barefoot shoes designed for trail running and hiking that have super wide toe boxes because I can slide around because I don't necessarily fill them out in the toe box. So I think if you're similar with a narrow, medium, or slightly wider foot, this shoe could be a really good option to explore because it's not going to be so wide to where I think you're sliding around in it in steeper ascents and descents while trail running and hiking. And then as a 3.5 pro with this shoe, and this is something super niche, but I submerged these shoes across 3 different hikes over the last week, and every single time they have dried out really well, and they've kept their shape and form pretty dang well as well. So I think if you're somebody who wants a shoe for warmer weather wear and for submerging in water on your hikes, and you know you're going to be doing creek crossings and whatnot, this could also be a really good option to explore. Granted, that is a very niche pro. But now let's talk about a couple of cons that I have with the Merrell Trail Glove 7. All right, so 2 cons that I have with the Merrell Trail Glove 7 is number 1, I think if you have notably wide feet or flat feet and you just hate any form of arch in your shoe, this might not be the best model for you. So we don't have the widest toe box, it does have a medium width, and you have a little bit of arch support here with this sole construction. So if you just can't stand arches at all in your shoes, I would say steer clear of this model. It kind of feels similar to the Vapor Glove 6 and 5 regarding its moderate to light arch support. So if those shoes also don't fit your foot anatomy, I don't think the Trail Glove 7 will as well. And then also, if you are somebody who wants like the lowest amount of stack height possible for your trail shoes, once again, this model has a 14 millimeter stack height and it has 2.5 millimeter thick lugs. So it's not going to be your most minimalist feeling shoe. So that would also be a context in which I would steer clear of this model. The second con that I have with this shoe is that with the Vibram outsole here, you have 2.5 millimeter lugs, and the lugs are pretty skinny at that. So I think if you want to wear this shoe for daily wear here and there, you totally can. But I think if you're logging a ton of volume on pavement and concrete in this model, you might start to wear down these lugs. And that's kind of stereotypical for other trail shoes that do have thinner lugs like this model. So buyer be warned. If you invest in this shoe and you plan to use it for literally everything and you plan to do a high volume of walking on concrete and pavement, then you could break down this outsole a little bit faster and kind of rub some of these lugs bare in certain spots. So just keep that in mind if you invest in this shoe. But now let's talk about the performance of this model. To chat on the performance of the Trail Glove 7, I'll discuss how the shoe performs for light working out and then hiking and trail runs and then also daily wear. So in the context of working out, I like this shoe, and I think if you're somebody who wants a trail shoe that can also work in the gym, this could be a really good option to explore. It breathes well, it articulates well, and with this Vibram outsole, it does give you a nice level of traction. So if you're training on rubber gym floors or turf, this shoe should do a really good job at giving you a nice bite into the floor. And it does have a medium width, so if you do like a slightly more athletic fitting minimalist shoe, then this could be a good option. I also see them as a good option for beginners who want to start wearing minimalist shoes for trails, but then also working out, and you don't feel like spending money on 2 different shoes. So this could be a really good option for that context as well. You're gonna get a good level of stability with them. And now the only caveat I would say with this shoe for lifting is with its rounded sole, it wouldn't necessarily be my favorite shoe for like heavier deadlifts and whatnot. I would prefer a more minimalist shoe for that context, but for general workouts, if you just want to wear these here and there for some strength sessions, this model should work pretty dang well. In the context of hiking and trail running, I have thoroughly enjoyed this shoe, and that's for 3 key reasons. Number 1, I like that it does have a little bit more cushion and comfort to it while giving you a nice level of articulation. I never felt like my foot was limited despite it having a slightly higher stack height compared to traditional barefoot shoes. And I think if you're somebody who does like a little bit more cushion for longer hikes and trail runs, if you're wearing these on hikes and trails that have a lot of obstacles, then I could see this being a really good option for you. The second reason why I've enjoyed this shoe is, once again, like, this is a great model, I think, for like getting wet and just kind of putting through the ringer, but then also not having it break down super quick. This model has been submerged many a times over the last few weeks of me testing and wearing them, and they've done a really good job with their overall durability. And I also like that this shoe is pretty dang comfortable to wear without socks, because I don't always like wearing socks if I'm doing hikes that I know I'm going to be doing creek crossings or even trail runs where it's going to be a little bit more muddy and more puddly on the trail. So overall, I think this is a really good warm weather and like water friendly shoe for hiking and trail running. The third reason why I've enjoyed this model is its overall fit. So I have like a moderate arch and I have a slightly wider foot. I found this shoe to fit really true and really good for my foot anatomy. So I think if you're similar with your fit preferences with your trail running and hiking shoes, especially in the context of minimalist shoes, this could be a really good option to explore. Once again, I don't think you're gonna have the most width to where you're gonna be sliding around in the shoe if you do have a slightly narrower foot. So that could be a really good thing for that context. Now again, if you have a wider flat foot, I would say steer clear of this model. And if you want a super minimalist shoe for your hiking and trail running, this would also be a model that you're gonna wanna pass on. For daily wear, I like this shoe for the most part. However, once again, I would say be very conscious of the overall lug durability. If you're using these for a lot of high volume pavement and concrete walking, I don't want you to break these down super quick and then come back to this video and yell at me. So buyer be warned, you can rock these on a daily wear basis and they are comfortable and breathable. But with the lugs, again, just be very conscious of how long you're wearing these on concrete, because I don't want you to rub the lugs down and then have like a bare sole on the shoe, since the Vibram outsole is kind of one of the best parts about this model regarding its functionality for the outdoors. $110 USD. This is kind of like right in the middle of like a budget minimalist shoe versus like a higher end like Vivo barefoot trail shoe. So I like this price point for this model. I think it's pretty fair. And also Merrell often has coupons and sales. So I knocked this model, I think, down to like $98 USD when I bought them. So definitely search around for coupons before you buy this shoe, but I do think the price point is pretty fair for what this model offers. All right, so now let's answer the question, who should buy the Merrell Trail Glove 7? Number 1, I think if you're somebody who wants a minimalist feeling shoe that has a little bit more of a stack height and comfort to it, this could be a really good option for your context. The second context where I think this shoe makes sense is for warmer weather wear and for water focused hikes and trail runs. This model does a really good job in that context. The mesh breathes really well, so it does dry out pretty quickly, and this model hasn't broken down super quickly in those contexts, which other trail shoes can be prone to doing. So definitely a good, I think, water and warmer weather friendly hiking and trail running shoe. The third context where I think this shoe makes sense is for anybody who does have a narrower, medium, or slightly wider foot and constantly finds themselves sliding around in other minimalist shoes. I think this is a good model to give you more of an athletic fit and deliver some width through the toe box to still allow those toes to splay. So that's where I think the shoe will fit in regard to foot anatomies and different sizing and fit once. Now, who shouldn't buy this shoe? Once again, if you have an exceptionally wide foot or flat foot, you might want to pass on this shoe. And then also, if you're somebody who wants a shoe with a super minimalist feel for trail running and hiking, this isn't going to be your best model. I think you won't enjoy the overall ground feel. While it does deliver a good amount, it's not going to give you the most in the context of barefoot shoes designed for trail running and hiking. So when it comes to the sizing and fit of the Merrell Trail Glove 7, I think it's a little bit interesting because Merrell actually suggests sizing down a half size for this model compared to your other Merrell shoes. So if you wear other Merrell shoes, I would say stick to their suggestion on this one, because obviously the company has built that recommendation based off of all the feedback they've received. Now granted, I have a slightly wider foot and I found this model to fit pretty dang true, and that was with or without socks. So if you do have a wider foot and you want to dabble with this model, I think going true to size is actually a pretty safe call. Now if you have a narrow or medium width foot, you might want to size down a half size, but for wider feet, I have found the shoe to fit pretty dang true. When it comes to the weight, heel toe drop, and insole in the Merrell Trail Glove 7, for my size 10 model here, we have a weight of 9.10 ounces. This model's heel to toe drop is 0 millimeters, and the shoe does not feature a removable insole. So if you do have custom orthotics or insoles, definitely tread lightly before investing in this shoe. Alright, so now let's cover the construction of the Merrell Trail Glove 7. Up here on the toe box, we have an extended outsole layer that wraps up and it covers the big toe. I really enjoy this because when tackling rocky trail runs and hikes, this helps protect the toe a little bit and give you a little bit of additional bite. On the upper of this shoe, you have a synthetic overlay over the toe box, and then you have 100% recycled mesh throughout the entirety of the midfoot and heel of this shoe. Looking at the midfoot construction, you have 5 core eyelets that go up with a 6 back here for lace lock. The lacing system has done a pretty good job, and I like that this model is a model that you can kind of leave a little bit loose like this and slip on and off, but then still get good security with this shoe. The tongue itself is padded and mesh. It doesn't have a gusset, but it does have a loop here, so the tongue security does a pretty good job as well in this model. Looking at the sole of this shoe, you have a Vibram outsole that wraps the entirety of this shoe. So you have a lateral wrap here on the midfoot, a heel wrap, and then a medial wrap here as well. This is what gives this shoe a little bit of like an arch feel when wearing them. And with the Vibram outsole, you have a lug depth of 2.5 millimeters. Looking at the midsole, you do have a low profile EVA foam midsole that extends the entirety of this shoe. This brings this model's stack height up to 14 millimeters. So it's definitely not the most minimalist shoe on the market regarding its overall stack height. You have some Merrell branding here on the lateral heel and the tongue, but overall that pretty much wraps up the gist of the shoe's construction. This model also has a bunch of recycled materials in it, so definitely look more into the construction details if you're interested in that on the product page. But if you have additional construction questions about this shoe, drop a comment down below. Alright guys, that wraps up my review of the Merrell Trail Glove 7. Overall, I have thoroughly enjoyed this shoe, and I think it's going to be a shoe that I keep in my rotation heavily throughout the summer. If you have additional questions on this model, drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.